Trump take two after former U.S. President Donald Trump's win in New Hampshire this week and Iowa the week before. It's looking more and more likely he will be the Republican nominee for president.
We know there's always challenges whenever there's an American election, but as we have before, we're going to be ready to deal with whatever gets tossed at us and make sure we're defending Canadians' interests and opportunities in this strong relationship.
How will the government do that? Prime Minister Justin Trudeau at his cabinet retreat this week also announced a, quote, Team Canada engagement strategy to promote and defend Canada's interests. So is this country prepared for a second round of Donald Trump, and how should the government's approach evolve for this time around? With me now is Canada's ambassador to the U.S. and co-chair of that Team Canada, Kirsten Hillman. Hi, Ambassador. Good to have you back.
Thanks, Vashti. Great to be here.
I appreciate you making the time. Based on the experience that you were a part of the first time around with Donald Trump and what has happened in the interim, how do you anticipate Team Canada will change its approach?
I think that what we need to do during this coming year is very focused on getting out to as many communities as possible, in as many sectors as possible, have as many conversations with as many Americans as possible, and probably, make sure we're in full contact with Republicans. The last Team Canada approach was about a specific negotiation. Mm-hmm. It was a very, there were very specific issues on the table, and we wanted to talk about those. This time, what we're trying to do is raise the baseline level of understanding about how Canada is a source of strength for Americans in all respects, economic, security, environment, energy, with everybody, so that as those policies are being developed and implemented, and in the White House, depending on who gets there, but also in different state houses. We have 11 governors that are up for re-election. It's a sort of a more of a large awareness raising exercise and less focus on concrete issues that are specifically on the table, because it's a slightly different context.
What about the converse, raising the understanding on our part of the sentiment behind, for example, support for Donald Trump? Like, as you go all in with Republicans, what are you learning about the genesis of their concerns as they relate to Canada?
Well, the interesting thing is, more often than not, I would say almost always, Republican or Democrat, these individuals who have, who work with us, who have businesses or investments or interactions with Canadians, don't actually see us as foreigners, as a foreign country. And they kind of, because we walk among them, we look like them, we talk like them, it's easy to do business, we have similar legal systems, and that can be very beneficial to us, but it also can be a bit of a challenge, because when domestic laws are passed or policies are taken up, it can sideswipe us. So part of it is reminding them. I was in Arizona recently. Brookfield has made an enormous investment in Arizona in semiconductors, and we've got 3 or 4 other really big joint things going on in Arizona with Canada. But people don't necessarily think about it as Canadian investments or Canadian job creation or Canadian companies. And I think that we need to just make sure that that awareness is there.
When we spoke earlier this week, I was asking you about the degree to which you are concerned or how you will navigate the possibility of Donald Trump, given the people who largely surrounded him in the past are no longer there. The people with whom Canadian officials had at times resonated with are no longer there. You said that you still thought there were sane people in his orbit. But there are people who I've sort of combed through the people who are around who have said some pretty consequential things when it comes to, for example, the kinds of pursuits Canada has with the U.S., and I'll name one of them, Stephen Moore, who just very recently cautioned that electric vehicles may be the auto market's next big flop. A lot of what we're doing with the U.S. involves auto parts. The guy who represents the sector was up at cabinet with you just a few days ago. How worried are you about resonating with those people?
Yeah. I think that there are different ways in which you resonate with whoever it is that's going to be around a potential future President Trump. So we're spending a lot of time talking to the people in his orbit, the think tanks that are developing policy papers and policy perspectives for a future Republican president, whether it's Donald Trump or another one, and they are very open and actually quite eager to talk with us, and they're quite eager to talk with us because these are philosophies, especially economic philosophies, that have a lot to do with American resilience, American independence, American self-sufficiency. And in many respects, the United States cannot achieve that self-sufficiency without help. And we can offer that help in almost all the ways that are required. And we are, I think, seen to be the most dependable and trusted ally. So things like critical minerals, right? Things like the minerals that would go into those batteries that you were discussing for electrification of vehicles, or just charging of any electrification in our energy grid. Food security, energy security. We are the biggest producer or supplier of energy to the United States. Those issues are going to resonate with any Republican that is supporting the Republican Party.
And pardon the interruption, but
No,
do you think it is applicable to any Republican? And I ask because Nikki Haley is not talking about the same things as Donald Trump. Her advisors are not necessarily talking about the exact same things as Donald Trump, and certainly not in the way or with the unpredictability that he is. Are you so sure that resonating with those think tanks will resonate with Donald Trump should he become president? Because it's not the same thing.
I think that I think Canada needs to feel strong and confident about what we bring to the table. I think that there are ways in which we cooperate with the Americans where they need us. And so we need to move forward and be confident in the ways in which they need us, in which we're a source of strength for them and a source of resilience. I think every American, including, those who might be around a future Republican president, will recognize that when you start getting down to the facts. I don't think we want to be naive. I don't think that we want to be, resting on our laurels. But that's part of what this 1 year kind of Team Canada approach is all about, is raising that level of awareness so that if there is a change in the White House, if there is a change in other, in different states or in the Senate or in the House, then we've already raised that baseline of information.
Are you prepared for the possibility that that won't work if it is Donald Trump?
We will be ready for whatever comes.
Okay, I'm going to leave it on that note. Ambassador, thank you very much.
Thanks.